All right, welcome to the June 27th meeting of the Albany County Legislature's Public Works Committee. My name is Nathan Bruce, and I serve as our committee chair. Would the majority council please call the roll?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brewski?
Here.
O'Brien?
Here.
Bergdorf?
Here.
Cleary?
He's here.
Fine? Tunney? Peter?
Here.
Reinhardt?
Here.
And Smith. 6 present, Mr. Chairman.
We have those gentlemen are excused. Our first item is to approve the previous meeting's minutes. Can I get that
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
By Mr. Peter, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. All right, and that carries. First up, we have Commissioner Latina authorizing an agreement with, is it Murnus Building Contractors, Inc. for 112 State Street basement ceiling and floor repairs. Commissioner.
Yes, this is Commissioner Latina, Department of General Services. Renee Building Contractors was the lowest responsive bidder for this project. What it is that the floor, the ceiling in the basement of 112 State Street, directly under the Trustco Bank, it had some damage to it. They used to use this stuff called cinder fill. That was an old, I want to say, fire retardant that they used to use in between the concrete. It absorbed quite a bit of water and it let go. So we need to make that repair in the Trustco Bank flooring and basement area.
All right. And then this is covered by Bond, 7% County. All right. Any questions from the members? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
Motion,
Mr. Cleary, second by Mr. Peter. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. And that carries. Believe we have Commissioner Raimundo on the next one. Item number 3, authorizing an agreement with K5 Corporation regarding painting traffic lines on Albany County Road. Thank you, Commissioner Latina. Commissioner Raimundo.
Hi, yep, Commissioner Raimundo. Hi, good evening, everyone. This is our yearly paint project that we do. We paint stripe all of our county roads for visibility and safety reasons. This year, we only got one bidder for our project, and it came in at $320,812, a substantial increase from previous years. It typically comes in at about $175,000. So sadly, we only got one bidder, and we are going to proceed with K5 Corporation.
All right. Any questions from members? Mr. Reinhardt and Mr. Bergdorf.
Lisa, I wanted to ask, obviously I'm not interested in compromising safety, but in a situation like this, would there be any flexibility to decide to not paint all of the stripes that you might have originally intended just to keep it within the budget? Or does that then present a safety issue, and that's why you're not looking at that as an option?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick and choose. Okay, if we decide not to stripe X number of roads, all of the roads, the paint deteriorates at generally a similar rate because of snow plowing and sun and such each year. So we could potentially put ourselves in a liability situation if we decided not to paint certain roads and then the paint became not visible enough to see at night or during rainstorms. So,
okay, so it sounds like it's kind of a different situation from, I know in Bethlehem, and I suspect in other municipalities, they have a process of looking at road repaving schedules, and they can sort of grade the different quality of the pavement and decide which ones need to be prioritized and that kind of thing. There's no flexibility with the striping to do that kind of thing and defer things and say, we're doing it without sacrificing safety.
That's a good question. So thus far, we've never done that. We do that with our paving projects, of course. But for road striping, we haven't done it to date. Perhaps we can take a look at our roads throughout the summer and see, visibility wise, in the evening, how the stripes are looking. Typically the roads are restriped by now. Since they're not restriped at this point, we could take a look at it and see if we think things could be stretched. But historically, we've not done that. But I would assign some staff to take a look at our roadway, like how well the stripes are showing up now that they've been down for over a year, because
Yeah.
it's truly something we do every year.
Well, I don't really want to sacrifice safety. I'm just thinking, is there a way we can prioritize and perhaps save some money by not doing everything every year?
Right. So, the roads that we pave on our hauling and placing and our full depth replacement, those roads get striped as part of those projects. So those roads are already taken out of the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're not truly, paving every roadway mile out of this contract. We're taking out the ones that are being paved on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there could potentially be some roadways that, for whatever reason, perhaps they're, in a more of a shady area and they're not seeing the sun damage that some roads may have. And but then again, those roads could have a lot more plowing incidences because they could be up in the hills. So there's different factors that contribute to the deterioration of the paint.
Yeah. Okay, just a thought.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bergdorf, and then Mr. Cleary.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Lisa, a couple of questions. I saw in the backup that our contractor of years last year, and I think if my memory serves me correctly, they did it for several years before that, chose not to bid based on uncertainty.
Yeah.
Now, does that relate to the cost of materials? Does it relate to the way we schedule our jobs?
It had to do with the uncertainty of the cost of materials. It's actually right now, it's very hard to even get paint for the roadways. And so there's a shortage on the supply of paint. And the pricing could change radically depending on, their schedule and the time that they can get to the work. So if they could get to it earlier in the season, it might be one price, later in the season, another. They didn't feel, from what my understanding is, Bill reached out to them and they just said there were too many unknowns between the fuel costs and the price of the paint and the potential unavailability of the paint.
Okay, question number two. I know in years past, and I think in part of your backup, it had the resolution from 2019 or 20, and I think it was a couple of year contract. Everything was based on unit prices. Did you bid it that way again? And is this a not to exceed amount?
It's a not to exceed amount is what it is. And
but is it based on unit prices? So much per double line, so much per single line,
yes,
so much for writing stop,
Yes, it's all broken up. Each
It is.
type of lineage has a different cost.
Third comment, and I guess a recommendation, and the only reason that it just hit me was, is this type of service one that could benefit from having a shared services agreement with other municipalities? And the reason I ask you that is because Colony is upping dramatically the amount of roads that they are paving this year. And on one of my constituent Facebook posts, someone was complaining that the striping hadn't been done on Maxwell Road yet. And someone from DPW explained to them that's because they hadn't put the second course of of topping on. So that was somewhat understandable. But obviously, every municipality is going through this for service. Is this something that could be bid
It
cooperatively?
It is cooperatively. There are prices, and that was one of the reasons why, too, we wanted to get this out, because a lot of the municipalities depend on this bid and utilize it. They piggyback off of it. Town of Guilderland, Town of New Scotland, I believe the Town of Colony as well.
They were listed in the backup material.
Yep.
Were
So,
they? Sorry, I missed that. So
yeah,
that's a great idea. So
Mhm.
these unit prices will be used for lack of a better term, other municipalities that want to opt into them
yes.
in sort of a purchasing cooperative fashion.
Yes, and that's what we've historically been doing all along.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Mr. Cleary.
I'm good now.
All right, outstanding. Can I get a motion by Mr.
Motion.
Peter, second by Mr. O'Brien? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, that carries. We're now on to item 4, which is authorizing agreement with James Malloy Inc. for the construction of Gifford Hollow Road, over tributary to the Switeskill Culvert rehabilitation project in Bern. Got to get out there more, learn how to say that in the hill towns.
Yeah, so this is one of our culvert rehabilitation projects. Malloy was the sole bidder on this project. It came in at $515,000, and this is 100% county funded project.
All right, any questions from members?
Motion to
Motion by
move.
Mr. Peter, second by Mr. O'Brien. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, that carries. Thank you, Commissioner. We now bring up Mr. Belber. So item number 5 is amending resolution number 473 regarding an agreement with Airmax Sports Entertainment Services, food and beverage services at the MVP Arena. So with those COVID corrections.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This contract is very similar to the SMG management contract in that Aramark had a 5-year term with options. 2 of those years virtually were eliminated because of COVID. And we've been able to get them to commit to, with this extension of 2 years, to make up for the 2 years that they lost from COVID. They are also going to purchase a POS system that will be up to $250,000 in cost to them. And that POS system is going to help us a great deal with allowing credit cards to be accepted at all of their portable locations as well as their permanent stands. Up until now, we really have not had the ability for credit cards to be accepted at portable locations. And this is going to, in my opinion, increase our per caps on a significant basis and help sales. The sales numbers in 2019 were a little over 3.5 million. And this year we're on track to be very similar to that. But I think that the agreement that we've had with Aramark's been good. The percentages that come back to the building and virtually to the county are some of the biggest percentage splits in our industry. It's one of the reasons why our own in-house food and beverage company did not express an interest to come in, because of the amount of percentage that we get from Aramark's contract is that big. And that helps us a great deal as it relates to getting future events. In some cases, the promoters will get a small piece of the food and beverage. It gives us more to work with.
Standing. Any questions from the members? Mr. Peter is a motion, second by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. All right, awesome. Uncontroversial, moving right along. Number 6, we're authorizing a lease agreement with CDPHP regarding suite number 23. How do they already have a lease, or this is a second lease for them?
No, this is an existing tenant that is just renewing their lease.
Okay.
And So we would like to go ahead and renew it. They've been a good tenant. They're current. And again, this has a credit for the amount of money that they paid during the, call it the closure period from April of 20 to April of 21. And I can't thank John Maney at the Albany County Attorney's Office enough for his understanding of how these contracts have to be drafted with the credits being involved. And he's done a great job with that. So I ask that we approve this, and that'll keep us at 100% renewal right now.
Outstanding. Sir Peter has a motion,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Cleary this time. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say
Aye.
no.
Thank you.
Outstanding. And then that concludes Mr. Belber's items. Joanna, we're having you back for item number 7, authorizing agreement with the New York State Council on the Arts regarding a capital projects grant.
Yes, thank you. So I brought this actually before you over a year ago at this point for authorization to apply. The deadlines were pushed back a few times, but we finally were able to submit a grant application in January that's been awarded for $80,000. So I'm coming back to seek authorization for those funds, which will be applied towards a match to install a new, more energy efficient and reliable heating system in the 1848 Meeting House at the Shaker site.
Absolutely fabulous. Mr. Peter.
Thank you. Was this sort of successful grant because of the lease extension? I know our chairman was very vocal in trying to get that, and I just noticed this, and I know there was concerns about grants and things like that, but is this sort of the fruits of those, at least the initial fruits of that effort?
Absolutely, yes. So both the being qualified to apply and to accept required a certain number of years of control, which basically this new lease afforded us. So thank you.
All right. With that, and congratulations, Mr. Chairman. I know you led these efforts along with Chairman Joyce. So with that, I'd make a motion to move this.
I have a question. Mr.
Hold the motion real quick. Get Mr. Bergdorf in here.
Yeah. Joanna, how long do these energy systems last that you're purchasing? What's the useful life?
That's an excellent question that I might actually need to take a better look at the specs. Our current system was installed in the early 90s and basically has aged out. So I would be looking for something that would give us at least a 20-25 year term. And what we're looking at is a air source heat pump system. So it's basically would have dual coil units and exterior condenser unit. All of those specs can be provided, but I'll profess ignorance on the exact usable lifespan. It's a good question, though.
I guess the question is I don't know. I have my own feelings on some of the short-term climate compliance goals. Is this, or will this be compliant with whatever kicks in 2030? And probably Bill Reinhardt could elaborate on that. If we're buying something with a 20 or 30 year useful life, are we going to be compliant in 2031?
I can answer that in two ways. One is we shouldn't be buying anything that uses natural gas at this point, and we're not here. But also the lifetime of the system, you don't necessarily have all the components last the same amount of time. Like a compressor might go sooner than some of the other components. But typically, you don't have to worry about that, Paul, because after we've made an investment like this, usually, like if it's an efficiency rating standard or something like that, you're going to be grandfathered in for older purchases. It would apply maybe the next time. If you put in something, you have to hit a certain efficiency standard. But we're not going to be told we have to rip out an air source heat pump because they've gotten more efficient in 15 years, and And now we're not up to that standard. That's not going to happen.
Well,
It's
I guess
good
my
that we're,
question is,
it's good
I
that we're
don't know.
going with efficient equipment.
Well, I think probably most people think they have efficient equipment in their homes. And I hope that residents have the same flexibility as the county might have when it procures HVAC systems over the next 8 years.
Yeah, there is an issue with heat pumps for residential markets, and that is that there are some that are designed for cold climate operation and others that are not. And really, anybody should be buying the cold climate systems because those are the most efficient that operate at the lowest ambient temperatures. And, that's more of a consumer education issue, I think, than anything else. And there are some HVAC contractors who don't educate the public about that, but most of them do.
Well, I
I
just
can-
wanted to raise the issue.
Yeah,
Is,
I can
uh,
also speak to that point that this system is obviously an upgrade insofar as we're currently heating the building off of a natural gas boiler. We are, aware of the potential issues in cold climate with air source heat pumps, and this system is, for all intents and purposes, designed to function in a New York State winter. But we also, as an extra insurance, will be retaining that hot water heater as a backup. So if for some reason the system does not want to run for a week or two in January, we'll have secondary heat. I also should clarify, just in case it is relevant here, that Albany County is not being asked to put any funds forward for this project. This is entirely the state funding and then match raised by Shaker Heritage Society.
Thanks very much.
So Mr. Peters' motion, can I get a second on that?
Second.
By Mr. Cleary, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. That carries. That's fantastic. Great to see that work pay off. That concludes our agenda for today. If I don't have any other comments from the members, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
By Mr. Cleary, second by Mr. Peter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Congratulations again on